trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was bringing you down. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Always looking for more. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for
Just the same. We ignore the ways and we ignore the fight. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We don't care when you call our name. We don't care. We are just the same. We ignore the ways and we ignore the fight. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a miracle.
The season continues for the Duracell Cup Series, as today we are at the Mile High Banked racetrack known as Chicago Motor Speedway. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Seth Cole, and we continue to draw ever closer to determining who the 10 teams will be that will battle in this season's playoffs. And this has been a track that's pretty much been a mainstay on the Duracell Cup Series schedule since its inception. Always brings about exciting racing. Sometimes brings about an underdog story, and I mean, who can kind of top last week's underdog story? Sean Arndt picking up his second win of his career in the limited numbers of starts he has made, and subsequently, as things stand right now, the 95 team out of Smart Motorsports, they are in a playoff position, despite the fact that they are mired down 26 in the overall standing. So a lot can really change between now and the end of the regular season. Matter of fact, a lot has really kind of moved and shaked even up inside of the top 10 in the point standings. We'll get to your grid in a moment. Let's take a look at those said point standings. I mean, look at this right now. It was really a battle between the 19 and the 8 for the first half of the regular season, but in just the last 2 or 3 weeks, all of a sudden, you've got the 78 team up at the top of the board right now, 10 points over the 19 team. The 0-1 team, really after Jack Mitchell picked up that victory at Daytona Road Course, they have stepped up their finishes, third in the standings. How about some of these other teams right here that could easily today leave Chicago as points leading team? The 27 team out of Joanna Elwood Motorsports, the 93 team out of KB Racing Enterprises, even the 1 car, which is still searching for its first victory of the season. They're the highest team in the point standings right now without a win, but they mathematically have a shot of leaving here today as the points leading team. It will be up to Michael Norman today doing the driving duties of that one car to see if maybe they can get that car into victory lane for the first time this season. Now, if you're wondering about how the playoffs look right now, obviously you've got the 19 car up in the number 1 seed. Number 2 seed would belong to the 95 car after what happened last week. The 78, 01, 8, 27, 93, and 6, which you see on your screen here on this first page of the point standings, they hold 6 of the remaining 8 spots. Swap over here to page 2. Final 2 positions belong at this point in time to the 12th in the standings 11 car and the 14th in the standings 32 car. But look at the difference between them and their teammate car, the 31 team out of Pigeon Racing. 1 point separation between those two for the final playoff position, and right there looming is the 48 team out of Northeast Motorsports. They have a shot with a second win of leapfrogging everybody, much like the 95 car did last week, and there's just so many teams in between these first and second pages as well that look like they are on such good momentum that they could possibly pick up a win and put their name into the picture for a playoff spot. The 03, the 65, the championship winning 38 car. Looking at those particular teams, I mean, they have got some good momentum here in the last couple of weeks as we look at the final page. And obviously, there's a couple of teams that are much like in the boat that the 95 car was in last week, looking for that second victory, the 77 team, the 74 team. If either one of those drivers here today, the 15 team as well, if they manage to pick up a victory here today, they do the same thing that Sean Hart was able to do for his team last week. Leapfrog all the other drivers with one win ahead of them in the point standings and lock themselves into one of the top 3 seeds, leaving Chicago Motor Speedway here today. Going to be a lot of stuff to keep track of here, not only today, but down the remainder of this regular season. But it's moments from getting the green flag. Let's go trackside for pre-race ceremonies and begin things with the singing of today's national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Drivers, start your engines!
Pace car gets ready to lead them around this mile racetrack, and here's the starting lineup for today's 88 lap event. It's Harrison Ponder claiming the pole position for Northeast Motorsports. Cat Batson will line up to his outside. James Shelley, our winner last time out for the Tri-Terry drivers at Riverside, lines up third alongside of Mike Tellier. Row 3 finds Andrew Davis and Zachary Taylor. Michael Norman, Colin Cropley back in row 4, and Jackie Halleck, Will Goss, they complete the top 10. Benjamin Miles and Carson Grubb, they're in row 6. Matthew Rodriguez, Adam Garcia, row 7. Row 8 finds Mitchell Collins and Alexander Rowe. Row 9, Ryan Acosta, Caleb Vogler. Top 20 completed by Alex Tanker and Jordan Lopez. Roberto Crown Jr., he's in 21st. Cole Deaver in 22nd. Reggie Fogelman will make up row 12 with Daniel Voiles. Allison Rodriguez back in 25th, Jacob Thibodeau in 26th, Riley Henry rolls off 27th, Pierce Crone in 28th, and bringing up the final position in the field here today will be Andrew Gonzalez. 29 drivers, 88 laps around this mile racetrack. Let's get ready to see what happens here today at Chicago Motor Speedway. Harrison Ponder into the restart zone. Takes the green flag. Gets the early jump, does Ponder. Cat Batson's going to slot into second. Shelley and Telly are battling for third, 3 wide behind them, almost 4 wide there with Miles. Oh, this is tight. Zachary Taylor's in that. Michael Norman, Matthew Rodriguez. Someone's got to back out of this. Something has got to give. But who's going to be the willing party? Looks like Michael Norman might have bumped Zachary Taylor up the track there just a little bit. Taylor almost getting into Andrew Davis. Somehow these guys are all keeping it together. We're almost 4 wide again. Mitchell Collins, Carson Grubb. Door banging right there you saw between Will Goss and Colin Cropley. They all keep it pointed in the right direction, but there's a lot of sheet metal being exchanged right now as Davis, Collins, Grubb still 3 wide. This is for around the 9th position. Benjamin Miles goes way wide, opens the door for Michael Norman to stick it in there. That's 3 wide, almost 4 wide now. Ryan Acosta on the inside of what was the 4 wide situation. Now it settles to double, now maybe to 3 wide as Ryan drives it in deep. Jordan Lopez right there with him, a couple of former champions in their own right. Jordan Lopez, the defending champion. Ryan Acosta, former champion from season 2. Looks like things have settled out there around the mid-pack area, so we'll jump back up to the front as Mike Tellier putting the pressure on Cat Batson for 2nd place. Not going to be able to complete the pass this time. Matthew Rodriguez, former winner this season, he's going to get to the inside of James Shelley. We've had some smoke back there on the front straightaway. I don't see, now I do, the caution lights are indeed on. I was going to say, I didn't see the lights on the pace car when we passed by pit lane exit, but indeed the caution lights are on around the outer portion of the track, and so yellow flag waving for the first time today on lap number 5. Race leader had crossed the start finish line, so these guys are racing back, and Harrison Ponder will take the caution. I think it was towards the rear of the field. I saw a little plume of white smoke back there. Couldn't tell who was in the vicinity, though, from the quick glance I got back there. Some of these drivers might have been the cause. Alexander Rowe, Alex Tanker back here, along with Riley Henry. Andrew Gonzalez, Jacob Thibodeau. Big question mark of who it could have been. I think what it was might have been just like a half spin and then the driver continued on. But pit road is open and we've got a lot of takers here, at least up at the front of the field. Top 2 are actually coming in. Mike Tellier and Jackie Halleck will stay out, so varying strategies here in the early going. So Mike Tellier looks like he'll be the one to lead us back to green. Let's check back and see what brought out the caution if we can. Nobody visibly had any damage, so I think it was just a simple half spin, and then whoever it was able to continue on, and it was indeed the 99 of Riley Henry. Three wide, Thibodeau up above him, Alexander Rowe, and just kind of crowded that top line out of room. Driver I would be a little bit concerned for would be that 78 of Alexander Rowe. He was up into that wall quite a good portion of the time of that wreck. Hit the outside wall 2 or 3 times. Let's see as he comes here through turn 1. No visible damage, so he might have gotten away with one. But that is what brings the caution out nonetheless. And it may not be the last time we'll see something similar to that. I mean, we saw a lot of rubbing of doors and not a lot of space given there in the early going. I'm honestly surprised it took them that long before a caution came out. Because we not only saw a lot of 3 wide moves, but a lot of 3 wide and leaning on each other for position going on. So, very impressive that they were able to keep that going as long as they did. Nobody a lap down when that caution came out, so more than likely we should, I think, get the 1 to green next time by. As mentioned, varying strategies here. Several of the leaders electing to come down pit road, give up the track position now, potentially for tires. Others feeling the track position is more important. Mike Tellier, as a result, going to be the leader when we go back green. Jackie Halleck lines up in second. Jordan Lopez in third. Then Carson Grab, Ryan Acosta. That's going to be the top five, followed by Norman, Davis, Fogelman, Gus, and Rodrigo. Who, yes, I know, obviously, he played some pit strategy here along with Reggie Fogelman, but you want to look at some drivers that have already picked up a lot of spots since the start. Reggie Fogelman in 8th, started back in 23rd, and Alison Rodrigo, who's running in 10th, started all the way back in 25th. So well done on those drivers of getting some very good track position in very early stages of this race. Now, I am a little curious. We're going to scroll down the leaderboard here because I want to see where our pole sitter and early leader Harrison Ponder came out. Give us an idea of how many drivers stayed out. It appears that 14 drivers stayed out. Ponder will line up in the 15th position. We will drop back at some point here on this restart, see about forward progress for the 48, because if it's anything to go by with Fogelman and Rodrigo up where they are after they qualified outside the top 20, maybe, just maybe, it's not as difficult to pass here today at Chicago Motor Speedway as it has been in the past. Pace car's going to make a left-hand turn to pit road. It's the longest race that we've ever run here at the Chicago Motor Speedway. I believe that the longest race prior to this was 75 laps. So add in an extra 13 laps or so. And definitely the crew chiefs, I would assume, have to vary up their strategy, which is why we might have seen a number of our leaders come down pit road here under this early yellow. Might feel that we go in long green flag to the end, and maybe those extra 5 laps of fuel or so could play a huge difference into the outcome. Mike Tellier enters into that very visible restart zone, and he got himself a great launch. He is going to have 2, maybe 3 car lengths over and battle now for second between Jackie Halleck and Jordan Lopez. Takes the spot, and now teammates. We'll go side by side for third. Carson Grob, the 65. Jackie Halleck in the 12. Looks like Grob, it might take the spot. Not clear this time. Gonna have to try again down the front straightaway and into turn 1. I mentioned about the fact that just in the last couple of weeks, teams have really risen to the occasion and jumped up there into the top 5, top 10, the point standings. Some visible ones to me that have really stood out include the 65 team. Allie Rain, Amanda Evans, and Carson Grob have done a really good job of consistent finishes. The 65 team was outside the top 20 in the point standings for the first few races of the season, and now they find themselves knocking on the door of the top 10 in the standings. They are only 2 points out of 10th place, 11th in the overall standings, obviously, at this point in time. So very impressive there as, Jordan Lopez, he was trying to put the pressure on Mike Tellier, and he overdrove 1 and 2. That's going to open up the door for Carson Grob to try and take second place. Not quite going to be able to do it. This 38 team kind of keeps hovering around the top 15 in points as well. Obviously a formidable team coming into this season with Jordan Lopez, a former champion, Jose Mills, the most winningest driver in Duracell Cup Series, and Daytona 500 winning Trey Wright. But they've yet to be able to park that 38 car in victory lane. 13th in the overall points coming into this one. And then there's this team. I already talked about them pre-race. Michael Norman Motorsports, that one car with Trent Dunham, Cody Lamas, and Michael Norman. Now the highest team in the point standings without a victory. Last week it was the 47 team out of Lake Effect Autosport that held that spot, but they dropped pretty extensively in the point standings after Stephen Cologne's engine failure. They are actually 8th in points coming to this one. Michael Norman Motorsports jumped them for 7th. 7 points separation between those two for that 7th spot. Another team that has also really performed well the last couple of weeks, though I don't see their driver up here right now. Let's see if we can find him. There he is. Last time by in the 14th position, that's Cole Deaver. It's that 0-3 team as let's follow this 3-wide battle behind him for 15th place between Rodrigo, Thibodeau, and Fogelman. But we'll talk about Cole Deaver and that 0-3 team at S3 Motorsports, along with Charles Sanford and Jessica Shelton. That team's now up inside the top 10 in the point standings, 9th in points. So I get the feeling there's going to be a lot more drivers, a lot more teams that are going to have checkered flags before this regular season comes to a close. And we could have a good half dozen, maybe 8, 9 drivers, teams that don't make it into the playoffs that have victories. I mean, that's what the scenario is looking like right now. All right, instead we check on Harrison Ponder, who restarted back in the 14th position, was one of the race leaders that elected to come down pit road. He has since worked his way now up to 8th place. So he's doing a good job of making forward progress. Obviously has a fast race car, qualifying on the pole position. The other driver, though, that came down with him, not faring quite as well, that being Cat Batson. Batson's all the way back here, mired in the 17th spot and in danger of maybe losing a position to Alex Tanker. So I don't know if it's that the car was better up there in cleaner air, not handling well back in traffic, or what the case may be, but obviously 48 car much better than the 39 car, and both of them on equal footing as far as tires. Here comes Ponder. Well, he was trying to get the 7th spot from Ryan Acosta, but Andrew Davis is going to take him 3 wide going into 1. Davis had to lift, you saw right there. May have gotten pinched just a little bit. Acosta's going to lose the spot to Harrison Ponder. Ponder going to try and see if he can hold off Andrew Davis. And then Roberto Crown Jr. says, all right, you guys stall each other out. I'm going to stick my nose in there 3 wide. Roberto, former winner this season. And, of course, much like Sean Arndt, maybe feeling that he's going to take it upon himself to get that 77 team 2 wins on the year. 25th in the point standings for the 77 car out of Auto Junction Racing. So they are very much so wanting to pull off the exact same type of strategy that Sean Arndt was able to do last week. Sean Arndt actually made history last week as well, being the driver now, the current record holder for shortest amount of time in capturing 2 victories. Mike Tellier, that strategy of staying out, keeping track position, at least for the moment, it is working. Jordan Lopez trying to reel him in again, though. Remember when Lopez got to him the first time, he overdrove turn 1, was in a battle with Carson Grob. He has since shaken Grob off and has gone back to work on reeling the 55, but I guarantee you, as a grizzled veteran, he won't make that same mistake again once he gets up there. How about Adam Garcia? Last year, 3-time winner. Picked up his first career win, his first career playoff appearance. This 2-team out of Young Motorsports, they need something good to happen. They're 23rd in the overall standings right now, and time's starting to run out for these guys. I mean, you look at some of the teams right now in the point standings, like the 1 team, the 47, the 0-3, 65. They're not in panic mode for a win right now. I mean, they still have some time to work with. But I look at teams like the aforementioned 2 team. You know, you could throw in the 17 car, the 09 car. These are teams that are desperate not for just 1 win, but for 2 victories. So the last thing you want to do is put the pressure on your drivers and say, hey, we've only got, after today, 8 more races left here in the regular season. We need to be in victory lane in 2 of them. I mean, it's tough enough to tell the drivers we need to be in victory lane for at least 1 of them. Tell them we got to be in victory lane for 2 of them to clinch a playoff position. That puts a lot of pressure on drivers. And usually when pressure's put on them, that's when the mistakes happen. Now, I'm not certain just how much fuel you can actually save at a track like Chicago Motor Speedway, but let's remember that most of these drivers up inside of the top 10, with the exception of the 48 car running in the 10th position, they have not been to pit road at all in this race. They all stayed out under our only caution up to this point. So let's project that maybe you can save a lap, maybe 2, under the pace laps that we ran. It'll be interesting to see when Mike Tellier and company elect to come down pit road. So that should then give us an idea of what exactly the fuel window is. And remember, Harrison Ponder, Cat Batson, those drivers that came down pit lane under that yellow flag, they would be anywhere from 4 to 5 laps off sequence to the other drivers that elected to stay out, which I believe were 13 in total. Andrew Davis works his way by Jackie Halleck. Roberto Crown Jr. will look to do the same. How about that Superflow 93? That team coming into this race tied for 5th in points with the 27 team out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. They are 25 points out of the points lead as well. And looking to pick up win number 2 as a team with their second rookie. They've already got a win with rookie William Micros, and Andrew Davis trying to do the same. The only veteran they've got on the team is Michael Wayne Robinson. Battle going on here for 4th. There's another battle going on for 8th. Just notice the bright red 11 of Will Goss trying to pick up a spot on Jackie Halleck, which he will do. Harrison Ponder now going to work. That 12 car is struggling on the long run. And it looks like very well might drop outside of the top 10. Jacob Thibodeau now in 11th, looking to make his way up into the top 10 when this battle finally finishes. Both he and Halleck, though, really slid up the racetrack. Little contact right there between Thibodeau and Alex Tanker, as Tanker's going to force his way 3 wide. He'll try and break into the top 10. Boy, look at him drive it deep there, hard into the braking zone. Colin Cropley in the mix as well in that 0-1. 0-1 team's got a shot of leaving here today as the points leading team. And now Ponder going to work up ahead there on Will Goss. Tell you what, this 48 car I think is the fastest car in the field, whether in clean air or in traffic. Now we've had a lead change. Didn't see it happen. You would have seen it on the scoring. But Jordan Lopez has gotten around Mike Tellier. That took place about 3 laps ago. So new leader of this race. That'll be the 3rd different leader on the day. Harrison Ponder led the first 5 laps. Mike Tellier led the next 20. And that last time by Jordan Lopez led his 4th lap of the race. About to complete his 5th lap. Ponder and Goss. This is for 8th. The 48 team already has a win this season with Austin LaPlante. That was back at the dirt track of Springfield. We've already seen that they've been kind of struggling in the points. 18th in the standings, which is actually a lot better than where they were a few weeks ago. Finishes by LaPlante, William Brock, and Harrison Ponder have started to be trending in the right direction lately. But they are another team that fits into that scenario. If they win here today, that's 2nd win on the season, then they leapfrog everybody. There's only 10 spots available in the playoffs this season, very limited. So everybody realizing the importance, the emphasis that there is in getting to victory lane. And I said this at the drop of the green at Daytona, and I believe it still holds true. The emphasis is win, but it is win multiple times. As things stand right now, 19 team. Looks like they could be locked in even at this point in time. 95 team. Looks like they could be locked in even at this point in time. And yes, you can make cases for the 78 team, the 0-1, the 8, the 27, the 93. They're all up there in points with wins, but the season is still young. There is still plenty of racing left to go, and a lot can change between now and then, especially with the system like we saw put into play last week of teams that are way down there in the point standings getting that 2nd win and leapfrogging to the top. Michael Norman starting to lose some spots here. That was in exchange for 5th place, Andrew Davis getting by him. So we're starting to see here, especially the difference of who's good on the short run, who is good on the long run. It's like Harrison Ponder's got a good long run car. Lopez appears to have a good long run car because he was able to reel Mike Tellier back in after a mistake the first time he got to him and get around for the race lead. And it would also appear that 93 of Andrew Davis has a very good long run machine. Drivers that appear to be trending in the wrong direction right now. Will Goss is losing some spots. We saw Norman starting to drop back, and I think the driver right now that's used up their stuff the most, Jackie Halleck. I mean, he has dropped like a rock outside of the top 10, now even outside of the top 15. I think if you're these race leaders, if you can, you want to get to around lap 44 or lap 45. Make it to the halfway point of this race and maybe have that be your only pit stop. But not sure if that's going to be the case or not. It's not one of the easiest pit roads to get onto either, so we got to bear that in mind. I believe the last couple times we've been here, drivers have kind of overdriven the entry to pit lane and hit that pit wall. So we do have to keep that in the back of our minds here, and I'm certain that the drivers have been told this as well by their crew chiefs. Been reminded, hey, be careful because you may be doing good out there on the racetrack. We don't want to throw it all away when we make this green flag pit stop, which I feel is going to be coming up pretty soon. Another reason why they might be able to stretch as far as they have is the fact that the pace is really back down in terms of the tire wear. I mean, if we look at the driver right now that we're focused on, Michael Norman, his best lap was in the 30.6s. His last time by 31.1. So he's running a half second slower than he was in the beginning stages of this race. Side-by-side battle for 14th. Correction, that should make me for 13th. It was Mitchell Collins and Cole Deaver. 17 team. Their counterparts, their teammates, doing really well, but 17 team really has been struggling with Nathan Orman, Mitchell Collins, and team leader James Qualls. They're 21st in the point standings. All former winners on that team, as Collins now finally completes the pass around Cole Deaver. Oh, we saw the 95 car go to victory lane for the second time this season last week at Kansas. Zachary Taylor doing the driving duties here today. He's battling for 18th place, I believe this is, with Allison Rodrigo. Correction, 17th. Looks like he's going to get the spot there as Rodrigo goes awfully wide through 1 and 2. So Taylor trying to keep the consistency up here. Might be trying to see if he can strategize his way into a third win for the team as Tanker and Ponder. This is going to be for 8th. Alex Tanker, former winner this season. He's the reason that the 27 team has a 1 in the win column. This is his first career win here in the Duracell Cup Series. One thing I'm noticing that later into this run, passes are still being made, but you have to be patient with it. It's not going to happen in one corner. It's going to happen in a couple of laps. Tanker are going to have to give up on that battle, though, is now Colin Cropley and Will Goss. They're going to go side by side. This is for 10th position, I do believe. And I think Will may have overdriven turn 1 there just a bit. Got a car coming down pit road. Jacob Thibodeau. He was the last car to stay out. Ooh, overdrove a little bit there. Careful. Don't hit that pit wall. He made it. Jackie Halleck coming in here as well. Got to be careful that you don't come down pit road double wide. I think that's, if I recall correctly, what the big problem was. Mike Tellier's going to jump Jordan Lopez. So he's going to hit pit road. Makes it on safely. Oh no, this is what I was talking about. You can't be double wide. Ooh, they settled it out to single file there with Davis and Garcia. That could have been bad. Ooh, I don't like that back there with Goss and Grob. Oh, these guys learned. These guys learned from last year. Fogler, Rodrigo, Henry. Oh, caution's out. Caution's out. Why is it out? Something happened. Pit road's open, so the leader's coming down. Why is the caution flying? I did not see any incidents on the track. So what exactly is the reasoning for this? We fanned down pit road, saw nobody with any damage, as if they had hit the pit wall. I don't see any skid marks on the racetrack. I think we're going to have to utilize the pace car as our pinpoint of why this caution came out. Was it something to do with someone coming to a stop on pit road? I don't see why that would be. That's considered the racing surface. Oh, we did have a problem. All right, credit the NNSCRA officials. This was a warranted caution. Take a look. Carson Grob going to make a late audible call to come to pit lane. Most drivers are already down on the apron, middle way down the back straightaway. And here you see Adam Garcia and Andrew Davis. They're coming down. They need that little bit of runoff, as we saw that banking to be able to make it around, and Carson Grob cuts them off. And there definitely were other drivers that were staying out. So this would have had oncoming traffic right there, stopped in the groove. Harrison Ponder right there, along with Alex Tanker. And so, yep, very good job by the race officials. I didn't see that, but obviously someone's keeping an eye out there on the racetrack. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't I kind of nervous about Garcia and Davis coming down double wide? Well, now we know why they were double wide. They were stacked up because they got completely chop blocked by the 65 car. So that brings out the yellow. I don't know what this means now as far as who's going to be where on what lap. I mean, are we going to have the same situation like we had a few weeks ago at Dover with drivers on the tail end of the lead lap ahead of a race leader, or what? I think we might very well end up having everybody still on the lead lap with the exception of one. And looks like that is going to be the case. So as we're back to live, Alexander Rowe is going to be the race leader. I'm not certain how that happened. It was obviously based off of timing and scoring as to when the caution came out. But Alexander Rowe is going to be the one to lead us back to green. Mike Tellier lines up in second, Andrew Davis third, then Garcia fourth, Roberto Crown Jr. in fifth, then Norman, Cropley, Ponder, Lopez, who was the leader when the green flag pit stops began, and Will Goss. That's your top 10. All 29 cars are going to be on the lead lap, but that 6th car there of Jacob Thibodeau, he was a lap down. When everybody came down pit lane, he got his lap back, but was still behind the pace car. So he will start tail end of the lead lap, but in front of the race leader. Everybody else, though, is on the lead lap and lined up in their correct position. So, to be honest, if we're to have a caution come out, that's not going to screw things up. That was about the best it could have been right there. And also the fact, too, really isn't good. It didn't take anybody out of this race. We've been very lucky with cautions here today. We had that kind of half spin in the early going by the car that we're looking at, Alexander Rowe. And then we had that little loop around there with Carson Grob. So nobody has had their equipment torn up here today, at least in the first half of this race. We've been pretty lucky here at Chicago Motor Speedway. And we're now ready to go back green. So the 6th car is not the leader. The 78 car is, but we'll see if Thibodeau is going to play a factor here in causing dirty air for the race leaders. Green flag flies. Mike Tellier ready to go. A couple of these guys fanning out there. Roberto Crown Jr., Adam Garcia. Norman way up the track, and Tellier is going to take the race lead off of turn number 2. Oh, 78's coming to pit road. Maybe that's why he was the race leader. Not sure why he would have played that strategy, but he is going to more than likely lose a lap here. So Tellier to the lead, second to Crown Jr., then Davis in third, and look at this gaggle of cars as Cole Deaver had to go down there on the apron. Caution's out, actually. And Thibodeau, did he stay on the lead lap? I think he did. Oh, Allison Rodrigo. I was talking about drivers doing such a great job but not tearing things up today, and as soon as I say that, I jinx it. 21 car, badly mangled, front end pushed in. Pits are open this time, doesn't look like anybody's coming down. What happened to Allison? Let's find out. This was off of turn 4. Oh, wow, big hits. 3 wide situation. 3 Mustangs. Rodrigo, Tanker, and Collins. There you see Alexander Rowe coming to pit lane, and 21 cars appears that got loose, slid up the track into Alex Tanker. Wow, that's some shots. Oh, and there were more involved there. Jackie Halleck's going to get a piece. I believe Andrew Gonzalez was involved. Look out. Track's blocked up. Caleb Fogler's involved. Cat Batson might have been involved. Oh, Reggie Fogelman there. You can see a lot of front end damage on his switch Challenger. Looks like there's front end damage back there on the 8 of Pierce Crone. I think he ran to the back of Benjamin Miles. Ryan Acosta, you can clearly see there. He's got the hood buckled on the Lowe's Chevrolet. Oh, there's the 9 of Riley Henry. Didn't even see him. He was kind of hiding behind the car of Allison Rodrigo. And then when Rodrigo's car teleported to pit road, then you could see he was in it. So that's about 6, 7, 8 cars right there with some pretty extensive damage. Caution out for the 3rd time here today, and this time it had some pretty catastrophic results. See if we can get an onboard with somebody here. How about we see if we can ride on board with the 44 of Reggie Fogelman. Heard a lot of on throttle, off the throttle there, thinking that you had to stop, seeing a hole, thinking, oh, well, maybe I can get through there, maybe I can pick up some spots, and unfortunately, that door looked open for a brief moment, but it closed up awfully quickly, and now we've got a bunch of damaged machines towards the back of the pack. Now, I don't necessarily think that they're going to play a huge factor as far as slow lap traffic here today, just based on the way that this racetrack runs. There's a lot more off the throttle time in the corners than there is on the throttle time, so you don't necessarily have to have a good-looking car to be fast. What you do have to have, though, is a somewhat aerodynamically sound race car for when you get to these long straightaways. So we'll see if some of those drivers towards the back end up becoming some traffic for the race leaders to deal with in the closing stages. Lights out atop the pace car. We're getting ready to go back green. You'll notice that nobody pulls to the inside line here as drivers a lap down because all repairs were made and drivers returned back to the track before the pace car came back around. 2 drivers out of the race, though, from the incident we saw. The 2 that took the biggest hits, Alex Tanker will finish in 28th, and Allison Rodrigo will finish in the 29th position. It's going to be a big hit in points for the 27 team. Came in 5th in the point standings and had a chance of leaving here today as the points leaders. They're going to take a bit of a knock. Fortunately, they still have that 1 win to lean back on at this point in time. Mike Tellier. Well, I thought the lights were out atop the pace car. Yes, they are. Okay, so I thought he was going to come down sooner than that. He dives down out of turn 4. Tellier's going to lead us back to green. Roberto Crown Jr., Andrew Davis, Harrison Ponder, Adam Garcia. That is your top 5 as we are back underway here at Chicago Motor Speedway. Top 3 break away. Chevrolet, Toyota, Ford. And the Toyota wants the race lead. Big run out of turn 2 to the inside. Roberto Crown Jr. out of Auto Junction Racing. And he will clear it, looks like, off of turn 4. Well, not so fast. Tellier back again on the outside. Oh, big hit in the back. That was Alexander Rowe into the inside wall. Somebody else went in there with him. I couldn't tell who it was, but the caution is out. based off the speeds right now of the race cars, they are racing back to the caution. At least the race leaders are. They had already crossed the start-finish line. It's like Roberto Crown Jr. is going to have the spot. Question is, who's going to have second between Taylor and Davis? Going to be a drag race between these two, but give it to Taylor. Davis crosses third, then Deaver and Ponder. So Roberto Crown Jr. are going to be the one to lead us under our fourth caution of the day, and there's the one car that I saw sideways. Maybe that was the other. Reggie Fogelman slow on the front straightaway. I could not tell who that other car was. They were behind the 78 when he was spinning to the inside wall. But the 78 team came into this race leading the points, and right now, as things stand, they don't look like they'll be leaving Chicago Motor Speedway as the points leaders. Bit of an up and down day for Auto Junction Racing. We've got one car that's wrecked, and we've also got a car that's leading. The other car might have been the 32 of Ryan Acosta, just based off of what I'm seeing here. Yes, it was. Pretty heavy impact into the inside wall, as we will see here. 3 wide. Pierce Crone is the 8 car on the outside, and that looked like Ryan Acosta might have gotten back into the throttle too soon, pushed up into the left rear quarter panel of the Starbucks Toyota, and there you see the shot into the inside wall for Alexander Rowe. Alexander Rowe got saved by that last caution, managed to stay on the lead lap, but now he's going to have to deal with a damaged race car. Front end and left side pretty well mangled. And then we saw that the 44 of Reggie Fogelman was kind of stalled out on the front straightaway. He got spun coming back to the caution. I believe it's the 17 of Mitchell Collins, who had made an unscheduled stop on pit road, I believe. Or hold on. No, actually, he got spun off of turn 2. Now, what happens to Mitchell? Oh, he's battling with Matthew Rodriguez. This is all racing back to the yellow flag, by the way. This is out of turn 2. Battling for around the 12th position. And Collins is going to get hooked. First time I think we've seen an incident today off of turn 2. Gets spun down towards the inside wall. A lot of runoff here, so I don't think he hit anything. And then, when we cut away and come back, we're going to show you the incident with Reggie Fogelman, which involves the 17 of Mitchell Collins, who was trying to race back to the start-finish line. And you will see here that I think the reason for what we're going to see here, the closing rate of the 17 to the 44, the back half of the field had crossed the line had not crossed the line when the caution waved, so they were technically under yellow. So they were slower coming around out of turn 4. Mitchell Collins, who, as we said, was battling with Matthew Rodriguez for 12th, they had actually crossed the start-finish line, so they were racing back at full speed to the start-finish line. And that's why he was trying really desperately to get around the 44. Hooks him in the right rear, spins him around. So the spin off of turn 2 didn't give Collins any damage, but that contact between himself and Fogelman probably gave him some damage on the right side. And Fogelman going to have to crawl across the start-finish line after trying to get that car refired after the spin. So a lot happened there on that lap. A lot that we had to cover. But it's time to go back green flag racing. Big move there on that restart by Roberto Crown Jr. means he's going to be the one to bring us back under the green flag with 30 laps to go. Mike Tellier lines up in second. Third place will be Andrew Davis. Cole Deaver's now up to fourth with Harrison Ponder in fifth. Garcia, Norman, Goss, Taylor in the 95 is now up to ninth, and Jordan Lopez is going to complete the top 10. Nobody out after the incident. All 27 drivers on the racetrack still remain on the lead lap. Green flag back in the air for the Beyblade Toyota Camry. Battle at the front's going to be for second. Davis steps out on Tellier. easily clears for the spot off of turn 2. 3 wide, maybe further back there with Norman, Ponder, and Deaver. That battle dissipates as quickly as it started. And there is Taylor going to work on Adam Garcia. That was for 8th. He'll clear for the spot. Ponder for 4th on Cole Deaver, who really overdrove the corner, as did Michael Norman. They're going to lose a couple of spots. Ponder gets by, Taylor gets by, Lopez looking to do the same. And almost 4 wide back here, it looked like, off of turn 2. Now 3 wide. Goss on the top, Rob in the middle, and Rodriguez on the bottom. That was tight off of turn 4 there. Thought we were going to have another Alex Tanker, Allison Rodrigo moment if there wasn't enough room given off the final turn. Deaver now with Taylor. This is for 5th. Deaver, it looks like we'll get the spot here, possibly into 3 and 4. Taylor drives it deep on that top side, though. Got to pay the price through the center. Couldn't get back to the throttle. And now he's going to lose the spot to Deaver. Looks to maybe cross him over here. Shows the nose into turn 1. Is he going to make some contact? Maybe try and bump him out of the way? Man, Michael Norman overdriving that corner, though. Second time in the last 3 laps he's done that over in turn 1, and he's paying the price for it. So tough at a track like this when you really overcook those front tires to then have the brakes take and slow you down. Takes a couple of laps to cool them back down so you get that grip you need, that ability to slow into the corner. There's a name popping up here towards the top 10 we haven't talked about today. How about a Riverside winner? James Shelley. And remember, we talked about that final position in the playoffs right now being held by the 32 team, 1 point over the 31 team. Well, Ryan Acosta we saw involved in a wreck, well, a couple of wrecks here today. Currently back in the 22nd position. James Shelley right now in 11th. That team would currently be holding the final playoff position. That is if the 77 team does not go to victory lane here today. Then the entire cutoff line shifts again. Also, a point of note, that last time by, James Shelley ran his fastest lap of the race. 63 laps into this event. But we could end up having same song, second verse 2 weeks in a row. Last week it was the 95 team that was mired down in the 27th, 28th position. I can't remember which position they actually were in points. Got that second win with Sean Arndt. They shoot up to the 2nd seed in the playoffs. Well, the 77 team out of Auto Junction Racing, they're 25th in the point standings, but they have a victory with Roberto Crown Jr., so if Crown Jr. picks up his 2nd win of his career and 2nd of the season, then another team outside the top 20 in the point standings, they leapfrog up to the number 3 seed for the playoffs. Andrew Davis trying to stop him, as is Mike Tellier. Cole Deaver going to work on Harrison Ponder. This is for 4th place, and looks like he will complete the pass here out of turn number 2. Good comeback run for Zachary Taylor. We haven't really seen him up inside the top 10 pretty much the entirety of the day. It can be difficult for a young driver when your teammate finds success and you're struggling to get the car up there into the top 10, top 5, trying to meet the same expectations. Sean Arndt, a young rookie, has been able to win in his young career twice. Taylor trying to get his first career win, but this is a good job by him to keep up the consistency of what we saw out of Arndt last week. Michael Norman, we saw him overdrive turn 1 a couple of times in back-to-back laps. Well, he's now starting to make forward progress once again. 8th place is where he fell back to. He's looking to get 7th from Jordan Lopez. Also, point of note, that last caution that came out while Jacob Thibodeau was ahead of the race leaders. So he was on the tail end of the lead lap, was allowed to go back around and get his lap, or get back on the tail end lead lap and the tail end of the longest line. Since then, he has been able to work his way now up into the top 15. Last time by, 15th place for the 6 car. So that's a great comeback run for the Steak and Shake Chevrolet. As we watch the battle for third, Cole Deaver trying to get by Mike Tellier. Don't look now. I think there's enough time. If Deaver can make this pass quickly on the 55, I think he's got enough time to get up there to Andrew Davis and Roberto Crown Jr. Right now, I think Deaver might have the fastest car in the field, though having a bit of difficulty there getting that third spot from Tellier. Might have a battle here for the final spot inside the top 5, though. Zach Taylor putting the pressure on Harrison Ponder. 6 the nose to the inside, but can he get back to the throttle off of turn 2 to stay alongside into 3? Not sure he's going to be able to do it. He's going to drive it in deep, though. Going to give it a shot. Car got tight through the center, but Ponder pushed up. They'll continue the drag race back to the start-finish line. Give it at least this lap to Zachary Taylor by half a car length. Now I think he'll complete the pass. Michael Norman feels that as well, as he'll dive to the inside. Taylor will indeed move up to 5th, and now Norman will look for 6th. Another driver I just noticed that's doing a great job today that we haven't mentioned. How about Daniel Voiles? Started all the way back in 24th. We haven't really mentioned his name as he's been running towards the rear of the field pretty much the entirety of this race, but up here when it matters the most. Looking to make the pass on Adam Garcia. That would be for the 10th position. And that team really needs a good run here after the hardship of last week when we saw Stephen Colon have the engine expire and finish that race dead last. As we documented, 47 team lost a number of spots in the point standings as a result. 8th in the points coming into this one. And Deaver's starting to get frustrated, it looks like, trying to get around that 55. Every lap that he spends battling with Mike Tellier is a lap of time that he is losing to Andrew Davis and, more importantly, Roberto Crown Jr. Let's see how hard he drives here into turn 1. Tellier actually might let him have the spot. He drifted up, but not that high, but it is enough for Deaver to complete the pass. So now how much has Deaver used up, though, in his attempt to get around Mike Tellier? We'll wait and see. Next time by here at the line, going to be 15 laps to go. Caution would certainly shake things up as well, bunch everybody else back up. Zachary Taylor now looking to get the 4th spot from Mike Tellier. Let's take a look at lap times of our top 2. At least visibly, it has seemed to be stationary from Crown Jr. back to Andrew Davis, but last time by 30.764 for Roberto Crown Jr., 30.830 for Andrew Davis. That gives you an idea of the difference between clean air and dirty air. Lap times currently in favor of the 77. What about Cole Deaver, though, now that he's clear of Mike Tellier? What's his lap times look like in relation to the 2 ahead of him? That time, 30.839. That was a 10th slower than Andrew Davis. And about 5/100ths quicker than Roberto Crown Jr. But with the limited number of laps we have, I'm not sure hundredths are going to cut it. We'll put it this way. They'll cut it. That is good forward progress at a track like this. But with the number of laps left, you're going to need a lot more time. This track reminds me an awful lot of Phoenix in the regard that you can't expect that you're going to cut into somebody's lead by even a full 10th. It's going to be hundreds. It's going to be thousands. If you make any kind of forward progress at all, then you're doing good. No matter how minute it may be. If your lap time is even just 1,000th quicker, then that is good news as far as your ability of getting around this racetrack and how much you were able to save before making the charge. Taylor and Tellier for 4th. Mike Tellier, the outside of the 2nd row starting position. Now going to drop back to that 5th spot. Tellier led in the early portions of this race for 25 laps. But he does not appear that he will get the bonus point for most laps led. I think that might go to the 77 team as Roberto Crown Jr. just led his 25th lap of this race. 3 drivers have led more than 15 laps today. Tellier, Crown Jr., and then 18 laps led by Jordan Lopez, who right now is up to the 6th position. Harrison Ponder led 6 laps, and Alexander Rowe led 3. Those are the drivers so far today that have taken turns out in front. Well, Roberto Crown Jr. made his debut in the Duracell Cup Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It was the first race for the Tri-Terry drivers this season, and he did not disappoint. He went out, he picked up the checkered flag, and he put the 77 team very early on in the conversation to be in that hunt, the chase for the championship. But then, as the first half of the regular season continued on, finishes started getting worse and worse, and the 77 team began to free fall through the point standings, eventually falling out of the top 10, the top 15, the top 20. Came into this race in danger of falling outside the top 25 in the points. But if Roberto Crown Jr. is able to close out the deal here today, then just like that, he will kind of pull off a Las Vegas once again and put that 77 team right back into the thick of the conversation. And to be one more brick in the wall, if you will, of starting to figure out what teams are going to be those battling for the championship at the end of the regular season. We already know right now the 19 team looks like they're going to be in it. The 95 team looks like they're going to be in it. And we may end up putting the 77 in the same conversation headed into next week. We're watching the battle for the final spot inside of the top 5 between a couple of drivers that have led today. Lopez in the 38 looking low on the 55 of Mike Tellier. Last time out's winner for the Tri-Terry drivers, James Shelley, looking on in 7th place, along with Michael Norman and Daniel Voiles. The final spots inside of the top 10 under contest. No battle right now up amongst the top 3 or 4. When we went back green, does not look like we were within a fuel window that these drivers would have to be concerned of coming to pit lane in the closing stages. So it's basically you got what you got from here to the end. And Lopez has got the 5th spot. Tellier going to give it up. And now try and see if he can hold off James Shelley. That 55 car losing spots hand over fist. No sooner is he done with one battle than somebody else enters into the fray. This time it's going to be Shelley, and then just behind him, Daniel Voiles trying to pick up a spot on Michael Norman. Might try and go get a twofer here with Norman and Tellier, but Tellier finally clears behind Shelley and might be able to slot into that 7th spot. Ooh, there was contact there between Voiles and Norman. They keep it together, though. Keeping an eye on the battle for the overall points lead. Right now, I think... Ooh, I don't know if it would be the 93 or the 19. I think it would be the 19 team. They were 15 points ahead of the 93 team coming into this race, and right now Matthew Rodriguez runs back in the 11th or 12th position, not certain exactly which one. 11th last time by. Davis right now running in 2nd and has not led a lap today, so I think the 19 team will take the points lead back heading into next week. As things stand right now, obviously with Alexander Rowe off the pace and last car in the lead lap in 27th. Free to go for Roberto Crown Jr. here today at Chicago Motor Speedway. May have a battle for 3rd here before all is said and done. Zachary Taylor closing in on Cole Deaver. Jordan Lopez and James Shelley might also try and figure out who's going to get that final spot inside of the top 5 before the checkered flag. Half a second from Crown Jr. back to Andrew Davis. Davis continues to hold court with Roberto Crown Jr. as far as lap times, but he neither really gains nor loses. He's just kind of stalled out where he is. Still, all in all, going to be a good points day for the 93 team. They will undoubtedly be up inside the top 5 in the overall points heading into next week. But Roberto Crown Jr. this time by is going to see the white flag. One more lap to go. Roberto Crown Jr. started this race back from the 21st position. And we had some late takers on pit road that couldn't make it. I saw Jacob Thibodeau, Will Goss amongst them. Well, I thought fuel wasn't going to be a concern. Apparently it was for a few drivers, but not for our race leader. He does not indicate coming to pit lane. He'll send it into 3 and 4. A handy 3 car lengths back to Andrew Davis. And Roberto Crown Jr., second win of his career, second win on the season. He takes the checkers here today at Chicago Motor Speedway. That's the second win for the 77 team, the third win on the season overall for Auto Junction Racing. And as stipulated, with that second win, regardless of the fact they came into this race 25th in points, the 77 team is now going to be heading into next week either in the number 2 or number 3 seed in the current format of the playoff standings. So well done there to Roberto Crown Jr. Going to be the second rookie this year to be a multi-time winner, and it only took us back-to-back weeks to hit that mark. Standings should be official. I believe everybody has crossed the line, so let's take a look at those. Davis will finish in second. Those two were kind of in a zip code of their own. It was almost a full second and a half before he got to third place, finishing Cole Deaver. That's a great run there. Those continues the consistency for the 0-3 team. Zachary Taylor will bring it home in fourth, and Jordan Lopez will finish in fifth. James Shelley was sixth, seventh for Daniel Voiles. Mike Tellier will finish eighth, ninth for Michael Norman, and Matthew Rodriguez got the final spot inside of the top 10 here today. Harrison Ponder, our pole sitter, finishes 11th. Adam Garcia in 12th. Carson Grabs 13th, 14th for Andrew Gonzalez, who started shotgun in the field, so good run for him. Benjamin Miles in 15th. Cat Batson was 16th. Colin Cropley, Riley Henry, Ryan Acosta, and Pierce Crone completed the top 20. I believe from 19th on back, those drivers were damaged and off the pace. Caleb Fogler, Jackie Halleck, Alexander Rowe. And then drivers that could not make it apparently on fuel. Don't know if they just miscalculated or maybe thought another caution was going to come out. But Jacob Thibodeau, Will Goss, Mitchell Collins, and Reggie Fogelman all were on pit lane before the conclusion of this race. They will subsequently finish -1 in 24th through 27th. Two drivers out of the race after we worked 5 cautions today. Both taken out in the same caution. Alex Tanker and Allison Rodrigo will finish in 28th and 29th. All right, then it's time to take a look at our point standings, or correction, our, no, that's right, we don't do that for this series. I'm thinking of SRX for some reason. So Roberto Crown Jr., your winner here today. 77 team now joins the 19 team and the 95 team as a multi-win team this season, and subsequently they currently sit in playoff positions. I can't say they're locked in, though it certainly looks like that is the case at this point in time. But again, a lot of seasons still left to go, so nothing is confirmed at this point in time. Not until we end up finally getting that checkered flag at Auto Club. But those 3 teams looking in good shape right now, and I guarantee you there's more teams that are down there in the point standings that have victories, particularly maybe that 74 team. I'm looking at them. I'm looking at the 31 team. I think these are teams, the 48 team, that are realizing, hey, there are teams below us in the point standings that are able to do it. We should be able to as well. May not be doing all that well overall in the point standings, but those victories certainly help in terms of your playoff seeding. So I think we might end up seeing a lot more of this take place in the next coming weeks, and we will continue it next week when we head to the Northeast New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Should be a good one there. Another track that's got the kind of flat banking in the corners, much like Chicago Motor Speedway was today. So obviously, maybe some of the drivers we saw do well here today will be doing well next week. But then again, it's an entirely different track, so you never know what's going to happen. I thank you all for tuning in to today's race, though. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and become part of the crew today. We showed you your full figure results here. You'll see your point standings next week during the pre-race at New Hampshire. And until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.